قرأتي على الوحيين لا الأهوى، شتات الناس جمعتي حوت إرث النبيين.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، وأما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To proceed, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, وَمَا بِسَمْعِ كُلِّ رَاوٍ يَتَّصِلْ إِسْنَادُهُ لِلْمُصْطَفَى فَالْمُتَّصِلْ. And one whose chain by every narrator's hearing is connected to al-Mustafa is the Muttasil. The word al-Mustafa, the chosen one, is derived from the word al-Safwa. The word al-Safwa. Which mean the best thing. Its linguistic origin is al-Mustafa, with the letter Ta. The letter Ta. And the principal status that if the letter Ta and a Sad were to meet, and one of the two precedes the other with the sukoon, which is absence of the valve, then the letter Ta shall change into the letter Ta, and thus it become al-Mustafa, Mustafa. And the preposition lam in the author's word lil Mustafa has the meaning of to Mustafa, i.e. to the chosen one. And al-Muttasil is the seventh category of the classification of the hadith mentioned in the poem. There are two opinions on its definition. Al-Muttasil, according to the author, is the marfu' narration that was taken by each of its narrators from the one above him through hearing. As such, the author laid down two requirements for a narration to be considered as muttasil. First one is by hearing, i.e. where every single narrator heard the narration from the one before him. The second one is the narration must be marfu' to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. This is due to the author's speech where he says lil Mustafa, i.e. to the chosen one. Hence, based on this, the mawquf and the maqtu' are not considered as muttasil. This is just because the author laid the condition that the narration must be connected to Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. As for the maqtu' and the mawquf, the sanad is not connected to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Likewise, for the marfu', if one of the narrator were to be abandoned, it would also not be considered muttasil because it is disconnected. Upon the apparent meaning of the author's definition, if the hearing or anything else in the place is not clearly stated by the narrator, then it is not considered as muttasil, which is connected. Therefore, the hearing is a must, and the hearing from the narrator is the strongest form of al-tahammul, which is the reception. And this is the opinion of the author in defining the muttasil. And it is said that the muttasil is the one whose isnad is connected, whereby each and every narrator take from the one above him until its end. Upon this definition, it includes the mawquf, maqtu' as well as the narration through hearing and other than hearing. The crucial matter is that it must be connected. And this opinion is most or more correct than the author's, which is the muttasil is one whose isnad is connected, whereby each and every narrator narrates from the one above him. According to the more correct view, the narration is muttasil, regardless whether the narration is marfu' or mawquf or maqtu'. The and regardless whether the transmission is through hearing or rather than hearing. Thus, everything that has a connected chain is considered as muttasil. With regard to the differing opinion regarding whether the meeting of narrator is a criterion or if it is acceptable if they lived in the same era, we have already discussed it earlier with the answer for it. And it is not requirement that the specific hadith which or was heard from the narrator. In fact, it is sufficient to confirm the hearing in general, unless if it is said that the narrator did not actually hear from the other except for one narration and it is the sahih of such and such, for example, then all the other narration are not considered as muttasil. For instance, if it was said that Al-Hasan al-Basri did not hear from Samura ibn Jundub radiyallahu anh except one hadith, which is the one regarding al-aqiqah, the sacrifice for the newborn. Based on this, if Al-Hasan al-Basri were to narrate from Samura ibn Jundub radiyallahu anh another hadith other than the hadith of al-aqiqah, then the narration is not considered as muttasil. And the scholar have different opinion on this issue. But we say that it is difficult to limit the narrations. Thus, there is difficulty in confirming our statement that Al-Hasan did not hear from Samura except the hadith of al-aqiqah, even if we were to assume that Al-Hasan said, I did not hear from him except this hadith. We say that if we say that if he were to declare this statement after the death of Samura, then we conclude that he did not hear from Samura except this one narration, because it was not possible for him to hear from Samura after he died. As for the case whereby he proclaimed this during the Samura's lifetime, then there is the possibility then that when he said, I did not hear from him except this hadith, he may have heard another narration after the point of the time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.